Hi, so we don't learn how to build a network at school, and that's why we're here today to learn about your experience, Peter. How are you doing?
I got my coffee, so can't be that bad.
Beautiful. Can you give us a quick intro about yourself, just so people know who I'm talking to?
Sure. My name is Peter Shankman. I founded something called Help a Reporter Out years ago, which connects journalists with sources all around the world. More specifically, more recently, I host the #1 podcast on ADD and ADHD called Faster Than Normal. Written 5 books, 4 on customer experience and the customer economy, and 1 on ADHD. I have a ridiculously large Rolodex, and I like to talk to people. The person, unless you fake your own death, if you're next to me on an airplane, I'm gonna know everything about you by the time we land.
Beautiful. So we started to talk about it just before the beginning of this interview. What does building a network mean to you? What is this?
Well, the issue is that we talk to so few people in a network, talk to less than 1% of our network on a regular basis, which begs the question, why are they there? Right? If I'm sitting with 1,000 people in my network and the only time I reach out to them is as a group when I'm looking for something or asking for help, that's a horrible network. There's absolutely no benefit to that network. What you find is that the more you interact with people when you don't need anything, the more you reach out to people when you just want to offer help or have a good idea or want to share something. Anyone can build a network. Anyone can import a mailing list and a bunch of email addresses and call it a network. But people who are good at this very few people can build a strong network, a network that is actually useful to them. And you find that the more people that you interact with within your network, the stronger your network becomes. But again, it's not about selling. Way too many people take the time they only reach out when they have something to sell or when they want you to buy something or help them. Very few people reach out when they have help to give. Yet the 5 most underutilized and most important words in the English language are, how can I help you? And so what I encourage people to do is reach out to your network when you don't have anything to sell, but when you have something interesting to share or a fun story. Learn about your network, ask questions to the people in your network. Every day I reach out to 5 random people in my network and I just say hi. I don't ask for anything. I just say, hey, what are you working on? How can I help? Right? You have the ability to look on, to have Google News alerts come every time someone in your network gets in the media, every time they do something special, and call them out and thank them and congratulate them and say, hey, this is great. But no one does it. And you have to be able to understand how to better utilize that network before you start asking them for things. I give away 99.9% of my content for free. Because it's the right thing to do, but also because it keeps me top of mind. And when people do want things, they will come to you. You will be the first person they think of.
Beautiful. So why is this important to have a network? Why should we care? Why not just be like a submarine and live in our little bubble?
I think one of the interesting things about that, believe me, I'm the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet in your life. I wish I could do that. But at the end of the day, we are a society that only succeeds if we have other people in it. Unless, we're one of those weirdos out in the desert, prepping for doomsday. We need people within our networks. We need people that have other things that we need. We have to give things to other people, sell things like that. The bigger question that you should be asking is, does my network really need to be as big as it is? You get these people on LinkedIn, I have 40,000 connections. I'm the most well-followed person. Who gives a shit? Right? If you're not interacting with 40,000 people every day, I guarantee you that. Right? And more importantly, with the algorithms they have, I guarantee you less than 0.00001% of that 40,000 people are actually seeing your posts. So tell me you have 40,000 people, I'm gonna yawn. That does nothing for me. Show me the engagement you have. We're a society that's designed to help people by default. We like helping. Helpers are fun. Mr. Rogers always said, look for the helpers. And you want to be that person who helps people. You want to be that person who gets in and figures out what people can do and how you can improve them. Problem is, we're also designed to constantly look out for ourselves. And so we're constantly seeing, okay, how can this benefit me? And we have to fight against that. Because when you have that network and you understand how people can benefit from it, you realize what you can get back from it. I'll give you an example. The best way to put it, and feel free to quote this, people with resources tend to distribute opportunities to people they trust. So the question becomes, how do you get people to trust you? And the answer to that is you offer them solid information without trying to sell them things. You offer them things that can benefit them, that can help them when, bless you, my dear, when they need it. I have my 6-year-old because we're, quarantined, but you can offer them things they need when they need it without asking for anything in return. That's how you get people to trust you. And that's how you become top of mind. And top of mind is what builds companies. Top of mind is what took Paramount Pictures from the bottom of Hollywood to the first billion-dollar studio in Hollywood. Paramount Pictures, in 1977, a guy named Barry Diller went to Paramount and became the head of Paramount. And it was a failing company. They were close to death. And Barry Diller said, okay. He reached into his Rolodex, and he called 10 people every morning just to say hello. He didn't ask for anything. He just said hi. Over the course of every 4 or 5 months, you get a call from Barry Diller just saying hello. When you had a picture you want, a movie you want to greenlit, or an actor you want to sign to a 5-picture deal, you could have gone on 20th Century Fox or Warner Brothers, or you could have just called Barry back, right? He was top of mind. He turned Paramount from 77 to 88 into the first billion-dollar studio in Hollywood simply by reaching out and saying hi. That's the power of a network.
Totally makes sense. So you were mentioning like kind of these 40,000 LinkedIn connections and saying that that's not actually a network. I totally agree. So what actually is the network? You mentioned trust. Is it the people who trust you? Is that how you would define a network?
A network is
like the real one, kind of the, yeah.
What's up?
Kind of the real one, the actual one, not the LinkedIn connections.
A network is a community of people who are trusted and who are there to help when need be. That's a network. A network is not just millions of people who exist. It's not, a network is people who matter.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so when did you start kind of thinking about this? Did you just like wake up one day and be like, okay, actually I need to reach out to people,
I, all my life have been, again, very outgoing. The beauty of ADHD is that you're very outgoing. You like talking to people. It's just what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I finally realized what my ADHD was and what it could do, I realized that all that stuff of talking to people and getting out there, it's actually very beneficial. Again, if you know how to use it. And so the key is understanding how to use it.
Okay, makes sense. Wow. Mm-hmm. And so run us through, like, do you also, so you were mentioning that you just send emails out every day. Do you also call people? What are your communication channels?
Sometimes I call people. I sometimes call people, but let's face it, most people hate the phone, right? So you find that it's a lot better to call people and reach out and saying hi and just things like that when, as you get to know people better. Email is still the killer app. It's still the best thing out there.
Totally agree. So how big is this trusted network of people you are actively trying to stay in touch with?
I'm sorry, I get a hungry kid here. Say that again, please. No
problem. Like, how big is the size of the network, of this trusted network that you're actually trying to stay in touch with?
The network is irrelevant. I look at all these people who bump up against the 5,000 person cap on Facebook. I'm nowhere close to that. I'm like at 3,300 friends or something like that. Because 5,000 people, you can't manage that, right? If you're at 5,000 people, you're talking to maybe 20 of them. That's ridiculous. Get into talking to a number that matters to you. It's not the number of people. It's not the size. It's the engagement. Right? How are you, the people in your network, how are you talking to them? How are you communicating with them? What level of engagement? When you post something, how many people respond and actually comment, right? How many are bots, right? Mm-hmm. Where's that engagement? How is that engagement is what matters more than anything else in the world.
And so, like, with how many people are you trying to, like, really stay in touch and have this strong engagement?
I probably have about 40,000 people on my mailing list. They hear from me about twice, 3 times a month. I have about probably 60,000 on Instagram, 3,800 on Facebook, 165,000 or something on Twitter. Although I have 150,000 followers on Facebook. So, what I'm talking about is people specifically in your network who you communicate with, right? So people I've met. I don't grab everyone's LinkedIn address and throw it into my email list. Rather, I find people who I've met with, who I'm engaged with in the past, and I try to keep up with them. And it's a process. It takes about a half an hour every morning. I do it over a cup of coffee, but it's worth it. No one does it.
Run us through how you keep up with this. This is a big challenge for many people. They're unable to just stay in touch with all the cool people they met or like discussed with. How do you do this? Like, how do you remember them? What's your process?
For me, it's really about focusing on, I take a certain number of people and I copy them down. I have two lists. I have a spreadsheet with everyone in it, and then a spreadsheet of people I contacted. When the spreadsheet of everyone in it gets moved all the way over to the spreadsheet of people I contacted, I flop the list and start again.
Beautiful. So literally, like every time you meet someone, you just add them to the spreadsheet, and you keep kind of a little database like this.
It's really simple.
And so another thing like people struggle with is they have these people, they know they want to reach out to them, they know they want to help them how they can, but they don't know what to say. You know, it's kind of like what they do. Can I just email this person? Or what would you recommend?
The best thing you can do is reach out and say, how can I help? Hey, I had a little time this morning. I wanted to find out what you're working on. Anything you need, can I help? Right? Okay. How can I help you? You can never go wrong by asking how you can help.
True. I was talking to someone who was saying that when someone asks him, like, how can I help? It actually puts the burden on him because suddenly he has to remember who you are, what you do, how you can actually help.
Or you simply send an email out that says, hey, Peter Shankman, we met at blah, blah, blah. Had some free time today. Anything you're working on at company name, how can I help?
Makes sense. Totally. So every morning you just take half an hour with a cup of coffee, reaching out to people.
Yep. And to do that, I think one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to get up early. I start my day around 3:30 in the morning.
Oh,
I get on my bike, not just for that. I get on my bike, I exercise, do all those things. And then I have a half an hour before my daughter wakes up and I get work done. And you'd be amazed what you can accomplish by getting up a little bit earlier.
Totally. What about kind of online communities? Are you part of some like Slack groups or that kind of stuff?
I don't use Slack. It's just so distracting. I do run a mastermind group. It's called Shankminds. We're at shankminds.com. Mm-hmm. And we have about 150 people in it. And we're an accountability group. We're there for each other. We help each other out. And then, I reach out to those people on a regular basis as well. I run a couple of Peloton groups, one for single dads, one for ADHD dads or ADHD Peloton riders. I reach out to those people. It's a process. It doesn't take all day. It takes a little bit of time each day. And you get used to it. You get it done. For me, it's no different than breathing at this point.
What about social media? How many people do you follow on Twitter, for example?
I don't follow a ton. I follow a lot. Enough people to get me the news I need and the information I need. You follow too many, you can't read anything. Exactly.
But do you actually try to kind of go through your feed and try to interact, like stay in touch, or is it that's too much work? And
I do on occasion, but at my convenience, because you don't want to do too much of it to the point where you're getting distracted. As a matter of fact, on Chrome, I use an extension called Kill Newsfeed, which deliberately gets rid of my newsfeed on Facebook so I don't get sucked into the ether, and I review it at my own time.
Great. So now that we've covered how you stay in touch, do you actually still actively reach out to people, like to meet new people, or do you have so much inbound communication that you just try to deal with that?
I like reaching out to people all the time. I'm a huge fan of it. I think that the more we reach out, the more we talk to people, the better chances we have for success. You asked the question earlier, what good is the network? The network is where things happen. The network is where people with resources distribute opportunities, people they trust. That's where things come from.
And so if someone wants to reach out to someone else he doesn't know, maybe for mentorship or something like this, how should he approach this? Have you done this yourself? And
yeah, you start out with, I've been an admirer of yours for years. I would love to, if possible, schedule a meeting. I would be happy to do it on your time at your convenience. That's the thing. I get asked all the time for people to pick my brain and things like that. And I let them, but they have to do it on my time, which is either we can meet for a run at 5 a.m., we can meet for a coffee at 6 a.m., or a spin class, something like that. But we're not meeting at 11 a.m. for a coffee in the middle of the day because that screws up my whole day. So you have to do it on my time. And if someone reaches out to me and understands that, I'm more than happy to meet with them. Plus, it's great Darwinistic opportunity in the respect that 97% of the people I tell, okay, great, we'll meet at 6 a.m., never follow through. So chances are I don't want to meet with them anyway.
Beautiful. Then it saves me thanks to the time difference of being in Europe.
Exactly.
Cool. No, beautiful. Do you have any final advice to someone who cares about building a network, about staying in touch of something that
be authentic? Yeah. Be authentic, be real, right? You can't BS this stuff. Be real. understand what your audience wants before you reach out to them, and give them what they want the way they want it, when they want it. Find out how they like to get it. You know, some people prefer text, some people prefer email, some people prefer Instagram chat. Some people, there are probably still 5 people in the world that prefer faxing. If they're in your network, make sure you're faxing, right? So get to the people the way they want it.
Peter, thank you so much. If someone is curious about you, where can they find you?
So I am at Peter Shankman on all the socials. My mastermind group is at shankminds.com, and the ADHD podcast is at fasterthannormal.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.